And hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pumpkin Copter Cast, the only video game show. And today I'm joined by Leon to talk about his upcoming game, High School Hills.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello. But before we get into that, we're going to be playing everyone's favorite game, all the 8 people who watch the show's favorite game. We're going to be playing a rousing game of Yu Gi Oh! Or Dark Souls.
Awesome.
So basically, how it goes, I'm going to name 3 things, and you're going to try and figure out if it's a Yu Gi Oh! monster or Dark Souls. Because if there's one thing those two franchises have in common, it's, you know, having things that don't sound like they are real or exist in any way.
Okay, I'll give it a go. I don't play either, but I'll definitely try.
That will absolutely not be a factor in as to how good or bad you perform in that game. Believe me. All right, let's see. First will be. Let's see. First will be ancient, ancient fairy dragon, Yu-Gi-Oh or Dark Souls.
That sounds more like Dark Souls.
That would be incorrect, sir. It is ancient fairy dragon is indeed a Yu-Gi-Oh monster. Alright, there's one down. Let's see. Next will be. Let's see. Demon Fire Sage, Yu Gi Oh! Or Dark Souls.
Dark Souls?
That is correct. Is an enemy from the
Hey!
first Dark Souls game. Let's see. Last one. Hmm. Let's see. Last one will be Doom Virus Dragon, Yu Gi Oh! Or Dark Souls.
They all really sound Dark Souls. But I'm gonna swing the other way and say Yu-Gi-Oh!
That is correct. It is
Hey!
indeed a monster from Yu-Gi-Oh. So yes,
Too bad.
now we can. Now that we have gotten that out of the way, we can get into the meat and potatoes of this interview. So, how about we start with you introducing yourself to all 5 of my viewer.
Sure, so I'm Leon Ivey. I'm the solo developer of High School Hills Dreams and Nightmares. Um, I've been working on the game since lockdown. So when lockdown started, I thought this was probably the perfect time to make a video game. I've always been into video games, and I thought this would be the best opportunity to, um, brush off some of my skills. Because outside of video games or making video games, I'm in tech, so I have a little bit of skills and how to make or how to do some techie stuff. So I started learning C sharp. I started learning pixel art, which is the form of art I went for my game. I learned how to story write. I learned how to use Unity. Um, Basically, all of the above, just to kind of get the pieces together on how to make a video game. And then towards the end of lockdown, when I thought I had enough knowledge, I started working on originally a game which was not High School Hills.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fighting game, but it didn't work out the way I wanted. So I kind of moved away from that 6 months down the line and started on High School Hills. So here we are today.
Okay. And Leon, how did you first get introduced to video games?
I'm going to show my age here. So going way back when the Super Nintendo. Um, so I did have the SNES. I didn't pay it too much. I was too young to really get into it. But my friend, my next door neighbor, bought a Super Nintendo and bought I think it's Mario All Stars. Yeah, Mario All Stars. Um, and just the mechanics in that, and just seeing what you can do in this newfound game I've never seen before, just seemed amazing to me. So the first game I saw and I really wanted to play and I really wanted was Super Mario All Stars. And that's when it kind of just, I fell in love with games, and the rest is history.
Okay. And what would you say is your favorite game and or games growing up?
Favorite game? I think favorite game and favorite game growing up is the same one. I think it's very hard to beat. So I one Christmas many years back I got The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And that blew my mind. It was kind of, I mean, it wasn't the first 3D game I played, but it was the first game I played where I felt like I got lost in, like I was somewhere else. I was there in the game. Um, and the amount of hours put into that game is probably more than I like to say, but um, it's definitely a game that stole my heart growing up. Um, to this day, even if I don't play it as much as I would like to, like bringing it, like if I just load the game up and just hear the music or see the scenes, it just really brings me back to like feeling like a kid again and feeling free. So I would say The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is probably my favorite
Alright, it's a damn good choice.
game.
Alright, and what would you say? Do you have a new favorite game on your games now, or do you maintain like Ocarina of Time as your as your internal golden standard?
It's very difficult. I think being young as well is when something when you play something when you're young, it really sticks with you. It really takes you
Mm-hmm.
back to your childhood. So it's really hard to replicate that as an adult. Um, but if I had to say a game, very difficult. Um, I guess I've always been into like adventure type of games. Um, and so I guess I'll go down that same road, but it's very difficult. I mean, you put me on the spot because that is my game. I can't kind of move away from that. But I guess it's probably going to be the latest Zeldas on the Nintendo Switch, Breath of the Wild, and it's just hard to move away from something that just grabs your heart from such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Those games still sit with me as the game I'll always choose.
Okay. And Leon, if we were at some sort of gaming convention such as PAX and someone was walking by your booth, what would be the sort of elevator pitch you'd give them for High School Hills Dreams and Nightmares?
Good question. So I will probably start by saying, so High School Heels is about a boy who his mother's gone missing, and he gets shipped off or moved to a small town where he goes into foster care, and he starts in this new school. And in this new school or in this new city, all these weird things are happening, um, and you need to figure out why these things are happening, why his mother's gone missing, why all these weird things happening, and then during that journey, you fall into these dream states, and in these dream states, you gain powers which help you along the way in your game. But then you also fall into these nightmare states, and in these nightmare states, there's all these creepy, crazy things happening, and you need to escape, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's adventure, there's action, there's mystery, there's all these things in this game that you can play, and it has like an open world element to it as well, so you can explore. So there's a lot of elements to it, but I think the main core thing is like mystery and action and adventure, and that's where I probably pull from The Legend of Zelda. So a lot of like inspiration comes from that. So if you're a true believer or fan of The Legend of Zelda games or Nintendo based games, you'll fall in love with this game too.
Okay. And you just said that, Legend of Zelda is obviously a huge inspiration behind this game, but is there any other, like, source or sources where you got the ideas for the game?
Um, so initially, I wanted to make, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to make like a fighting game. Growing up, another game I used to play with my brother quite a lot is Streets of Rage.
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of the game I was going to go with first because I do like those, simple beat 'em up games as well. Growing up, so originally I was going to go for something quite similar to that, but it just didn't work very well for me. So I did put a lot of time into it. So 6 months I was working on that, but I know my passion is adventure games. Growing up, I've had so much experience playing adventure games. I wanted to go down that avenue of making adventure games. So that's kind of where I stuck with it. But then there is still elements of a little bit of fighting in it. So you still get the action. So there's pulling from some of the fighting games I used to play, and obviously the adventure games. So there's a bit of a mash between that. But then I wanted to be a little bit different and add mystery as well. So it's not just a beat 'em up adventure. There's also a story, and I think that's important in games of today.
Okay. And um, what would you say like gave you? Because you mentioned that there's quite a bit of puzzliness in the High School Hills, but would you say like the inspiration for the puzzles came from the same place as the inspiration for like all the fighty bits and all the like more scary bits, or did you like pick from like an entirely different like source in order to get the idea for like the puzzles that the players will see?
So because there's a dream and nightmare element to it,
Mm-hmm.
I thought the puzzles need to kind of work with that. So um, in the when you fall into these dream elements, there's like puzzles in that, so that you need to kind of escape these nightmare states.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not entirely scary, but there's more of like, I guess if anyone was in a nightmare, it's not going to be pleasant, right? So there's a feeling of like, oh, I need to get out of here, right? So um, that's kind of where the puzzle, kind of the nightmare scariness comes from. Um, but yeah, I think because you fall into these dreams, I think it's very important that uh, these nightmares and these dreams kind of work with the puzzles, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I hope that makes sense.
And was the idea of like dreams and nightmares and like kind of just bleeding and blending into reality always a part of the game, or did that like part come later, like as you started working on it?
Exactly. So again, originally it was uh, it was a fighting game, and then I moved away from that, and then I started working on adventure game, and that comes from like the ideas from like Legend of Zelda. But then I feel again that these games always kind of exist, like they already exist. There's loads of adventure games out there you can play. But I wanted to bring a little bit more creepiness into it. Hence why I thought of like the dream. So how does he get his powers? And that's why I put the dream element into it. And it's like, okay, so there's dreams. What else I can add to make it? What is he against? He's just not getting these dreams, and then everything's just simple. He needs something else. So it's like, okay, so dreams and nightmares. So he has these dreams to help him throughout his missions and the story, and then the nightmares are kind of what's kind of pulling him and what you're fighting against. So that's how I brought everything together to make this game where there's a story, and there's more than just story, and there's more to it with something you gain and something that's trying to take it away from you. So that's kind of how I put it all together.
Okay. And aside from like Ocarina of Time, like what sort of shows or movies or books like gave you inspiration to the sort of tone that you're going for with High School Hills?
Very good question. I would say The Matrix. The Matrix has that um, almost that like element of like they're living in a simulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give that to the people playing this game, because there's bleeds of it, right? So when you're even in the real world, it's like, am I in a dream right now, or is this part of the game? Am I awake in the game? But I want to kind of give that sort of like element to High School Hills as well, where these these nightmares bleed into the real world, because when you play the game, there's zombies in the real world, and they've bled from the nightmare state. And as you play the game, as you go along, you would see that you'll see these enemies blending into the real world, and then you also get your powers from the dream state, which you then can use in the real world as well to help you throughout. So it's quite similar to the Matrix in a sense.
Okay, and like, how much would you say, if any, of like just like anything in the game came from like personal experience? Because usually, like, when people make stuff, we usually can't help like having like a little bit of ourselves kind of just like put into it.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, for me, there's probably zero. Maybe it's just all come from my crazy mind and just experience of playing games. Um, I would probably say the one thing that I've probably put into it um, is um, growing up. There wasn't a lot of black protagonists in games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the only thing that I would say I put into it is a bit of that, if that makes sense. Um, so that's probably it, really. Just bringing a little bit more of culture to the protagonist.
Okay, and I obviously like the game is not like in the finished state yet, but like when it is finished and when it is released, provided like all goes smoothly, how long do you think like the total amount of time from like idea to finished product will have taken?
Also, a very good question. I've had this question a few times in previous interviews as well, um, and it's always a question that um, any developer would love to give an answer to, and say, I would love this game finished tomorrow or next week or end of this year. But those things can always change. Being solo is very difficult. These things can move along. But what I have in mind is, so I have EGX, it's what we have here in the UK, EGX and MCM, and I'm going to take High School Hills to that in October, and I'm going to try and raise some money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I can raise enough money, then hopefully by the end or mid next year, I can have the game completed. Because with funding, I can get help. Being solo, it's very difficult, and I've got a full-time job as well, so it's very difficult to get a lot of time to work on my game. But then if I can get this funding, I can obviously hire some developers, some more artists, pixel artists to help me with the game. So hopefully, fingers crossed, if this all goes well in October, then mid next year, if not the end of next year.
Okay. And like if you had to any other like indie devs out there, what is the sort of advice you would give them that you wish you like had when you first started?
Oh yeah, I mean, just be patient. It's very difficult to start, especially if you're solo, and it, you know, you don't become a pixel artist overnight. I still don't believe I'm a pixel artist. When I look at my art, I'm like, oh my god, it can be so much better. But if you look at where I am now and where I started, if I show you some of my whole work, it's night and day the difference, right? So, patience, patience, patience. Put the time in. Do something that you want to do. Don't do something that you think's gonna sell. I started off with my fighting game, um, because I thought, okay, this will be an easy, quick game I can make, which will sell. But then I wasn't enjoying it. I put all this time in, spent 6 months, and then I left it. I was like, should I stop? I've wasted all this time. But then I'm not enjoying this. I want to do something I enjoy. So don't be afraid to start something, and then if it's not going well, start again. It's okay. It's all a part of the learning curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need time. You need the patience to learn all these things, right? So patience, 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 and do something that you love. Do something that you enjoy. I haven't spent, the last couple of years on High School Heels because I'm trying to become rich quick. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. I'm loving the journey. Every step I take on this, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like something I want to do. It feels like something I enjoy. When I get the time to work in High School Heels, it's a peace of mind for me. It's not something that stresses me out. It's something that makes me feel good. So always do something that you enjoy, and yeah, that's my advice.
All right then. And that brings us to the final question on the interview, which everyone who's ever been on the show always understands perfectly. Yes, they do. Shut up. Uh, Leon, in your opinion, is video games?
Is video games great? I don't understand the question. I still, um,
If you did,
is
you
video
would be the
games
first.
is video games the best thing ever? Yes.
All right then. Yeah, and with that, we can begin to wrap things up. I would like to thank Leon for joining me and talking about High School Hills.
Thank you.
And Leon, before we formally sign off, like, what would you like to shamelessly plug?
Oh, uh, if you ever get the chance to play High School Heels, the game is on Steam. You can go to Steam and type in High School Heels Dreams and Nightmares, and you can play the demo. If you like it, wishlist it. If you don't wishlist it. It's entirely up to you. But I'm throwing everything into this game. I love it, and I hope you do too.
All right then, and if you enjoyed this show, you can like and subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get notifications when I actually upload things. If for some reason you want to give me money, you can hit the patreon.com/thepumpkincoptercast, where for as little as $1 a month you can submit questions for me to use in future interviews. If you want to hear some slightly more coherent ramblings from me, you can go to your podcast platform of choice and look up Gotta Recap 'em All podcast, where I and my co-hosts are recapping every single episode of the Pokemon anime and all the movies. The one that gave kids seizures, yeah. The one with the guns, yes. That is not a joke. There's guns in Pokemon. It's weird. It's like why? But neither here nor there.
Is this real? Guns and Pokemon?
There was one episode way back in the day that was never dubbed into English.
I didn't know that.
If you want to, it also explains the mystery of where Ash got 30 Tauros.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been the Pumpkin Copter Cast, and as I say at the end of every show, have a gourd day, everyone.